Hello everyone and welcome to the next video. So this is defense against disease and the immune system. So it's in two shorter parts. The first bit is stopping disease and pathogens getting into the body, and then the second bit is what happens if they do and how your body deals with them. So let's get into it. So let's start with how our body protects us against pathogens. So your body doesn't want pathogens inside of it, or unknown pathogens, definitely. And if you do get them inside your body, then quite often you get ill. So it's in your body's best interest to try and stop them from getting in. And it has certain ways of doing that. And there's 4 ways that the exam boards always want, and they're very specific. So let's have a look. Now, it says non-specific at the top there, which is a bit confusing. What that means is it's not tailored to the particular pathogen. Any pathogen that gets in will have to deal, or tries to get in, will have to deal with these non-specific defense systems. The idea is they're trying to stop the pathogens getting into the body before they then have to deal with them. So we've actually got a few here. We've got skin, which is a physical barrier. It literally stops bacteria, viruses, etc. getting into the body. Along with the skin, if you do break the skin, because obviously it's like a barrier, we can also have scabs as well, because they prevent entry. And also your skin produces like an oil called sebum. And that can, sorry, my pen's gone a bit weird there, that can deter pathogens as well. So even within skin, there's 3 different options you can have there. We've then got hairs and mucus prevents particles from entering your lungs. Now, all exam boards will accept mucus, but not all of them will accept hairs in your nose. Okay, so I would suggest you learn mucus. Okay, and so you've got mucus in your nose, sorry about this, and the dust gets collected by that mucus and it ends up as bogies basically, and then obviously they come out, so they're not entering your body. Then we've got the trachea, so the windpipe, and then those little tubes that are connected to it called bronchi. We've got mucus again. Mucus here traps pathogens. And then your windpipe here, your trachea, is lined with tiny little hairs. And if pathogens get in, what they do is they waft upwards. Okay, and they do that with the pathogens in the mucus. So they waft that mucus upwards, and then you cough it up, and then you could spit it out or you might swallow it. Next time you've got a little cough, think about it consciously. When you cough up that mucus, where does it go? Nice. Okay. And then this one here, which is stomach acid. So often it's good to specify that it's hydrochloric acid, and that will kill pathogens. There's one more that isn't on here, which examiners actually really like, and I'm just going to add it over here at the side if I can, which is tears. Because actually, pathogens can get into your tear ducts. So if you look in the mirror, if you do this and look in the mirror, you'll see a tiny little hole there where your tears are produced. Pathogens can get in there. And your tears are very good at stopping that, because now you don't have to cry to have these tears, because you've always got a film of it across your eye. They are actually antiseptic, which means they're going to kill pathogens, which is really good. And latest research shows that a lot of people with COVID got it through their eye ducts, and people with glasses were better off because obviously it wasn't going straight in. So we have actually got 1, 2, 3, 4. We've actually got 5 there. Normally you need to know 3 or 4. Okay, so make sure you know those defense mechanisms. And in the question, it will be very specific. It will say something like, how does the body stop the entry of pathogens? Okay, so this is stopping the entry. We don't want it to get in and into our bloodstream. So all these ways will actually stop that. So let's imagine all these things failed and these pathogens did actually get into your bloodstream. Okay, they've got through all these defenses, which they do sometimes, and get into your bloodstream. Now you will have something called an immune response by your immune system. Okay, so basically your body is going to respond to this. Your immune system will kick in. Now, at any time, we do not want to say anything about fighting off pathogens or fighting off bacteria. That is never, never, never a mark. Okay? Fighting off bacteria would mean your white blood cells in fisticuffs with these bacteria. That doesn't happen. We can say kill, destroy, digest, but we cannot say they fight them off, because you won't get any marks. And I've seen so many students write lovely answers, but just don't put in the right words, or they say fight off. So we're going to look at each of these three things individually. We're going to start with phagocytosis. Now, even if you don't recognise the word, I'm pretty sure you know what it is. It's just a posh word for something. And then we're going to look at antibodies. And then we're going to look at antitoxins. Now, if you ever get a question about the immune system, these are the words you need to be putting in. Okay, even if you just put the words and can't put anything else. So let's look at them one by one. Let's start with phagocytosis. So the pathogens have got through all those barriers, they've got into your bloodstream, your immune system has gone, hang on a minute, you shouldn't be there. So it's our white blood cells. Okay. And white blood cells are the key to our, immune system, the absolute key. Now, what they do is they will actually carry out those three things that we've just talked about. So, phagocytosis. Here we go. Now, there should be down here on it's my right, down here, a little white blood cell chasing round pathogens, trying to engulf it. Okay? And if you look at this picture down here, that it's moving again. Those little tiny dots are the bacteria, and that big one is the white blood cell, and it's trying to engulf it. So you can use the word phagocytosis, that's absolutely fine. Or you may have been taught they engulf and then destroy or digest pathogens. Okay, no fighting off, no fisticuffs. Good. So this is just a visual representation here. Over here we've got our white blood cell. And basically what it does, it pulls itself in and makes this little hole. The bacteria go into the hole, and then the white blood cell completes itself round it, and then it will digest these pathogens. You can say destroy or kill, that's fine. Oh, sorry. Okay, so first, you're either going to remember on your list phagocytosis is your first word, or if you can't remember that word, you prefer to remember engulf and destroy. That's fine, one or the other. All right, let's have a look at the next one. Antibody production. Now, before we talk about antibodies, we need to know about antigens. So actually, every cell that is not in your own body will have different antigens to you. Okay, all of your body cells will have the same antigens, and the antigens are these little bits. They're proteins actually, and they're on the outside of a cell. This is an E. coli cell, and you can see the antigens on the outside. Now, when these pathogens get into your body, they have different antigens to you, and that's when your body goes, hang on a minute, these antigens should not be in this body. And so they start producing antibodies. Anti means like the opposite of something. So these are trying to get rid of these antigens or anything that's connected to these antigens. So what happens is, let's imagine it's E. coli. It gets inside your body and your body goes, these antigens aren't mine. Okay, I need to destroy it. So the first thing that will happen is it will be engulfed. And once it's engulfed, your white blood cell will then start producing these Y-shaped things called antibodies. Now, they are complementary. Now, not complementary as in you're wearing a lovely pair of trousers or I like your car. This has got an E in the middle. Complementary. And what that means is it's the opposite shape. It's going to sit on that antigen perfectly fine. So if you look here, this green antibody, the end of it, is complementary to this antigen. Now what that means is this antibody can bind to the antigen. And when it does, it can either directly destroy this pathogen here, just by connecting, or it can make them all clump together. So these are all E. coli's here, and these are all the antibodies that have been made by your white blood cells. It can make them clump together, and then the white blood cells can find them more easily because they're bigger. Okay. So what do we need here? So we need the words antibodies. Antigens does not come up in foundation. It's just I have to mention it to explain what goes on. Antigens, they bind to antigens on the pathogen. They can clump, and then the white blood cells can find them more easily. All right, so that's our antibodies. So the first thing was phagocytosis, or engulf and destroy. The second one is antibodies. Let's have a look at the third way our body tries to eliminate these pathogens. Okay, antitoxins. Now, when you get pathogens in your body, the pathogens themselves don't make you feel poorly. But just as we carry out bodily functions, so do pathogens. And pathogens produce a lot of waste. And that waste is toxic. And therefore, we need some way of getting rid of that toxicity. Those toxins are the ones that make you feel poorly. They give you the temperature. They make you vomit. They make you have diarrhea. Whatever the symptoms are, those toxins will give you those symptoms. So your body produces something called an antitoxin. And it's quite simple. It's a similar shape again. So here's our bacteria that's producing all these toxins that are making us feel poorly. And can you see this bit here on the end? That's the actual toxin molecule. And your white blood cells, look at them, they're amazing. They will produce this, which is an antitoxin, and it will fit on there perfectly like this one. And what that does is it neutralizes the toxin, so the toxins can't make you feel poorly anymore. Okay, so if we've got any words. White blood cells produce antitoxins, which neutralize these toxins. Okay, so many exam questions say, why does the patient feel ill, or what is causing the fever? Okay, if it's 1 mark, it's likely to be toxins. It's the toxins that give you the symptoms. Okay, so 3 things there. 1, phagocytosis, or engulf and destroy. 2, antibodies. 3, antitoxins. In a 6 marker, even if you just said those words, that's probably 3 marks. All right, so just know the words. You must know the words. Okay. Right, so we've got a little graph here. And remember we just mentioned about antibodies. So this graph comes up in 2 places. It comes up here in the immune system, but it also comes up in vaccinations, and the graph is a very similar shape and it means a very similar thing. But for now we're just going to do this is you've got a pathogen in your body. Oh, sorry. And what happens? So initial exposure, let's say you are exposed to the flu. Okay, now if you look here, your antibodies, which is your body producing these to get rid of the flu, which is a virus, quite slowly increases because your body's got to make those antibodies. And this is called our primary immune response. So the production is quite slow here. And then you get rid of the flu, you're fine for a while. But 6 months later, your best mate's got the flu and you happen to be with them, and we get exposed a second time to the same flu. Now, your body has already made antibodies towards this particular flu and antitoxins. So those antibodies, your white blood cells know the shape of those antibodies that it needs to make. So your secondary response, the second time you get the same disease, can you see it rises very quickly and in higher numbers? Now these are these antibodies, remember? So these shape things, if I can draw it. Okay, your antibodies. So first time you get flu, antibody production is slow, steady, but enough to get rid of that flu virus. Your body now makes something. It makes something called memory cells. And those memory cells stay in your blood, and they know you've had flu, and they know the shape of the flu virus, and they know which antibody to make. So when you're exposed the second time, those memory cells, which are a type of white blood cell, very, very, very quickly produce lots and lots of antibodies, very quickly, all the way up to here. You get rid of the flu again. You might not have even had much in the way of symptoms because it's so quick. And then it comes down a bit, but it's going to stay steady. Those memory cells are going to stay there. Some memory cells will last a lifetime. Some might last 10 years. It depends on the disease and how quickly your blood cells reproduce and all sorts. But generally, so let's imagine you had chickenpox as a child and your primary immune response got rid of it. When you're exposed again, you might not necessarily get any symptoms, and that's the idea. You don't get chickenpox the second time because your secondary immune response is really quick. Now, there will be some people that say, I've had chickenpox twice. Absolutely, it can happen. But what that means is maybe you didn't have it bad enough the first time to produce enough memory cells, or maybe your body, for some reason, didn't produce these antibodies quickly enough. It could be maybe you've got some underlying condition going on. It could be that your body might have another disease and it's trying to sort that one out rather than this one. Very much depends, but the general rule is the secondary response is faster and in higher numbers of antibodies, so you won't get it a second time. If you do, it's generally milder. Okay, so a couple of exam questions if we can fit them in. Here we go. So pause the video, have a little look, and then we'll do it together. Right, so this is a nice simple one. We're just joining up boxes, but these little marks add up to a lot throughout an exam paper. So a physical barrier is the skin, and mucus that traps viruses. So it could be the trachea or it could be the nose. In this case, it's the nose. Okay, so well done if you got those 2 marks. Next one's a little longer. So describe how the human body prevents pathogens from entering and defends itself against pathogens. Right. Now what I want you to do, rather than composing a long answer, I want you to write down 3 words for how pathogens stop entering the body, and 3 words for how it defends. So the second bit is the immune response. Okay, and this first bit is stopping them getting in. Now, you can get 6 marks on this one almost with 6 keywords. Okay, so just write down the keywords, pause the video, write down the keywords, and we'll look in a second. Okay, here we go then. So you should have 6 keywords on your page. You might have written more, and that's absolutely fine, of course. Right. So you can see the whole mark scheme here and how many marks are available. Okay. So all of these ones here are prevention. So as long as you've got 3 of those. And then all of the ones here are our immune response. So let's have a look at what we could have written, the minimum we could have written to get 6 marks. I would have gone probably stomach acid kills bacteria, maybe. Eyes produce tears. They're antiseptic. That's 3 in itself, just from those things. Okay, mucus. And then down here, white blood cells is a mark. Just a mark on its own. White blood cells engulf pathogens is a mark. Antitoxins is a mark. Antibodies is a mark. Memory cells is a mark. Okay. Now the only stipulation here is to get a level 2 response, which is more than 3 marks. You have to refer to body defense and the immune system. So you need some of these and some of these. You couldn't take them all from here. Okay, hope that's given you an insight into the importance of keywords in 6 markers as well. We will do more on that later towards your exams. So for now, have a lovely day, and I will see you all very soon. Take care. Bye.